A shaggy-looking girl in her late teens or early 20s kneels on the ice with an electronic contraption in her hand. Hearing you approach, she looks up.
Oh.
She must be Estelle, the last of the speed freaks posse. It's cold out here, but she's not wearing a hat. She must be freezing. Everyone knows drugs make you invulnerable to cold. You bet this one likes to party.
Huh?
Maybe she didn't hear you. A little louder.
So should you. Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, well... Look, man, fuck the hat. I'm sorry I said fuck the hat. I was concentrating on something else. My whole family swears and it rubbed off on me. Oh, that. You're not going to believe me. There's no point in me telling you.
She's less prone to blurt it out, crab man, than the others.
Okay. I went in and I saw a woman next to one of those machines there. Noid calls it a mainframe. She was dressed like someone who's been raised by their grandmother, you know, strange old clothes. Had this absent expression, didn't say anything, just stood still. And then, you know, right behind her, a man crawled down the wall, upside down like a crab, down the church wall. I think the woman didn't even know he was there. He was completely silent. He stopped right before he got to the floor, then just hung there like that, looking at me, right at me. I fucking turned around and walked out. End of story.
Like a crab, you say?
It was too dark. I couldn't tell exactly.
Come on, she obviously could. She already went into detail.
He looked like a banger, okay? He was all muscular and stuff. Had a mesh tank top. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that only made it scarier in a way.
A crab and a banger?
Yes, a banger. As in a mess gang member. I know what it sounds like, but that's what I saw. Why? I guess so. Anyway, what else? My associates? I haven't got much to say about them. Of course I do. I just don't tell people about my friends and who they are and so on. I don't provide information on them.
To the cops.
Me? I'm a silver bird.
A silver bird feels strangely familiar. Was it an expression? And if yes, then for what? Then your mind slips and the thought is gone.
Don't know what makes you think it'll be any different later, but... This is a portable recording device. It's for field recording. Low quality, but still. Actually, just one wire. I picked on it till the braiding came loose. The wire leads to a contact microphone. A contact mic records sounds from inside things, like this ice.
Your mangled brain would like you to know there is a boxer called Contact Mike. No. You're welcome.
Yeah, I record stuff with it. No. This is a contact microphone. It's for recording inside solid objects. Contact mic just beats people up.
An entire litany spews forth.
Man, you are one weird cop. You do understand it all just sounds like mic to me, right? The mic? I don't exactly know. Somehow it doesn't pick up vibrations from the air. The book said it only picks up structure-borne sound, if you like technobabble. Same place I got the recorder from, the Elysium. Oh man, you haven't been to the Elysium? It's the coolest place in this whole drug-addled shithole. It's a music club and a synthesizer workshop on Boogie Street in Jamrock. Musicians live there, like real musicians. I once saw Arno van Eyck. Oh yeah, guess you wouldn't know Van Eyck, or really be a Elysium-going kind of person. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means either. That's cool. Sucks, man. Was there something else? About the contact mic, perhaps? Same place I got the record. Oh man, it's a music club and a synthesizer workshop on Boogie. Oh yeah, guess you wouldn't know. I don't know what that means either. That's cool. Sure. Same place I got the record. Sure. Okay. Recording, I guess. I think I'm recording cracks in the ice. But there's no way to tell. Not without headphones. I think I just recorded your footsteps too. Not sure how that will sound. My boyfriend sold them. I don't know, man. Things. Just stuff you need for life.
A lie. They were probably pawned off for something suspicious.
The musicians in the Elysium used them for making music. They looped the stuff, cutting the tapes together. They make music out of cracks in the ice and keys jangling. Crazy sounds like that. It's hard to explain. Anyway, I thought I'd make some too. It's supposed to be, like, a music place anyway. I don't really know what I'm doing. They use synthesizers too. I don't have a synthesizer.
Take this, you're cold.
No, man, fuck that, I'm cool. I'm sorry I said that. I'm sorry about the fuck.
It's okay.
Yeah, maybe you were right about the hat. Thanks. Yeah, the boys think it could be a place, like the Elysium or something. Stupid. It's really not gonna be a Elysium, that's for sure.
And who are these boys?
Yeah, Andre and the guys, inside the tent.
And why is that?
They got too much stuff crammed in there. No room. Didn't you see it yourself? It's mostly music stuff. like this tape recorder, but bigger. Yep, they were pretty. I'm sorry we sold those. That stuff is more expensive than I am. More expensive than any of us, really. Doesn't matter, I can take the cold. Go ahead. It's supposed to become like a club for anodic dance music, like that new style of synthesizer stuff they play at the Elysium. Except that, yeah.
The floorboards are twisting, and the shooting beams are slowly cracking, like bones. Far east of the Golden Delta, beyond the industrial port, there is a black patch of unlit coast with the smallest creatures on the ice. There will never be a club for anodic music here. Not in a million years.
You know, anodic, cathodic, music that's made with electronic instruments. Synthesizers and tape consoles, microcomputers too. Anything that uses electricity, but isn't guitars. Also found sounds, stuff like that.
This is an evolutionary step up from amplified instruments, which in turn are a step up from acoustic instruments. What comes after it, you wonder? A black-tinted nothingness or something finer?
Go ahead. Okay, bye.
A metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. You could use it to call someone, unless you're out of change. You hear the tone. The machine is inoperable. Calling. Still calling. This feels wrong. Should you be doing this? End of tone. Someone picks up.
Pierre? Is that you, Pierre? So nice of you to find the time to call me. It gets so lonely. Even the animals have died. Are you sure you're Pierre? Your voice, it's different. There. Chrysanthemum.
Her voice is drowned in white noise. Sounds like waves washing a beach, growing in volume until the call suddenly disconnects. You get a sinking feeling. It It makes you look if Lieutenant Kitsuragi overheard you. To your relief, he did not. Someone has left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. It smells really bad. The cloth, if you can still call it that, makes a soft crunching sound as you thrust your finger into it. It's streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath the crust of filth. It seems likely that it was left in the surf until someone laid it out on this fence to dry out. Unfortunately, that just seems to have stiffened it into a shapeless mass.
Please tell me you're not taking that with you. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to have it returned.
As you hold it in your hands, it makes an uncomfortable crunching sound. It's a sordid, filthy tale, not for the weak. Are you sure you can stomach it? Some secrets are better left uncovered. Don't even try. Seriously. It occurs to you that you're not even holding the jacket itself, but rather the thick crust of jetsam and seagull shit that ensconces it. It smells like a dead sea creature, tangled in grey strands of seaweed. It must have spent quite some time in the water before the tide deposited it ashore. Somehow, it was carried or dragged to the boardwalk. If not by human hands, then perhaps the feral dogs that prowl the beaches at night. The faint impressions of many footprints are also present, though it's impossible to tell what kind or how many. Suffice to say, the jacket spent some time on the ground before someone draped it over the railing. The crust is hard. This jacket spent at least a day baking in the sun. Who knows what happened to it then? Somewhere, high above the city, a pair of seagulls trace loops through the air. They are like the bombardiers of the aerostatic brigades, gliding above a target-rich environment. All of a sudden, the bomb bay doors open, and their white glittering payload rushes to the ground. Splat, an explosion of white on a man's shoe. A curse goes up, but the birds do not hear. It's too late. You've already thought about it, and now your hands are covered in muck. Now you're just flicking that shit everywhere. This is a disaster. You'll never get the smell out. There's no way to listen to the tape without a working tape player or portal reel at hand. A pawn shop would have a tape player. smell, it's awful and familiar. Don't be naive. Don't you recognize it? That hideous pungency, that faintly cloying sweetness. Only death smells like that. Something cold wakes in the pit of your stomach. Fear. The signs of decaying meat. It announces itself from 24 meters away. A warning, a memento mori. The lieutenant has already brought a handkerchief to his nose.
Eyes up, detective. Something's not right here.
There's some tear, an empty cigarette package, and a crumpled kebab wrapper in the trash bin. 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black potent porter is all you find. No, there's more in there. Livis strawberry liquor, plus some Pilsner bottles too. Better not pick them up. They seem unhygienic.
A tragedy.
Whoever tossed it here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra. Red Astra is the black market version of Astra cigarettes, known for their high tar content. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as a tomato wedge. The wrapper reads Shish Kebab Revachol. It's no older than a day or two. No mold yet. It's hard to concentrate in the smell. The sea air brings some relief. A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirits. In his cramped hand, a chewing gum wrapper. Half of his body has slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the left leg. The fall has left him broken, contorted like a sad puppet. The smell is not as bad as a 2-week-old corpse, but it's definitely heading there.
Hold on. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is has been dead for 2 days. No longer. We need to investigate.
Another dead body. This is your job. Steel yourself. Calm now. Carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Breathe. He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers, and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. The leather jacket suits him well. It must be custom made. A cool leather jacket with a bolt of blue? Oh no, this sounds terribly familiar. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card folded into 2. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand.
Good. We should take a look at that library card after this is done.
The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still dangling through the hole. A bad fall. It might have been dark outside. This place is a minefield in the dark. His expression is dull, like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his mustache. His eyes, empty and wide, look frightening in their frozen gaze. Height, 170 to 175 centimeters. Curly hair, stout build. Age approximately 50 to 60 years. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist. Be very, very careful where you step here. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head. An open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch.
I don't see any other major wounds, do you? Seems like the head wound was fatal. It's exactly the shape of the bench.
They screech under your feet ominously. It's hard to say whether the dead man's weight was the cause of the boardwalk to break. It definitely looks fragile. You see waves churning below. Something cracks beneath your feet. He could have easily disappeared into the sea through that hole, and you would have never found him. A .75-liter Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside.
Tear all around us. I'd prefer if you didn't collect them this time. It's not proper.
Rybowski spearmint chewing gum. Green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall. The blackness of death. Stench. You think you see white chewing gum too. Confirmed. Nearly the whole pack is there. Solidified on his lower rear teeth.
He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. The worst thing is, I've seen it before. Almost the same scenario, even the chewing gum. It's always the same.
The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you take a step back.
Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. But that's just a lazy assumption. What do you think?
A dead working-class man with a bottle in his hand? Don't deceive yourself. You know who this is.
The woman you met at the book stand? Why do you think it's her husband?
Because it's the most working-class death you've ever seen.
The bright blue lining? Well, he's definitely someone's husband. Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk. A truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this case as a simple, albeit sad, accident, unrelated to the murder case.
Agreed. If this somehow converges later, why not? But keep it simple for now.
Oh yes. Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behavior. But I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. What about it? The deceased ate some kebab. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the Pox.
Sometimes a kebab is just a kebab.
They'll seal this place off after the news reaches the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to actually repair the boardwalk. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. It does seem to be a pretty straightforward misadventure, although there's still a question of identifying the body. From where I stand, I can see two options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle. Alright, we should first examine the library card you found. Then we can call the station from my kinema. Let them know we are taking the case.
The library card is folded into two and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Billy Mejean, expires July 53. Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio thriller. Stand a little less between me and the sun. The last one in the list is The Glinton Curve by M. Theobald. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre, some thrillers too. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 005 02 55211 or visit us at Moreau Street, 78, Jamrock. Business hours, 900 to 1800.
Good. We should give them a call from my kinema. See if we can learn anything about Billy Mejean.
Good idea. There was plenty of information here to go by. An old door, worn by elements, guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been opened in a long while. You see a handle.
It's military, a service depot of some sort. The washerwoman mentioned a depot up the coast. She said it was for moving ammo and cargo across the bay. This might be it.
Heavy wooden doors, more than twice your height, stand shut in front of you. The rectangular sea-worn ornamentation appears in stark contrast to the padlock carelessly drilled into the wood. The carving on the door is block-like and angular, like the church itself. Two large beams shoot downwards, sinking into the wood before they reach the threshold. The surface is smooth from the wind, but moist to the touch. This cheap-looking padlock is sturdily built. It shackles together a hasp and a staple screwed into the wooden door. The lock is adorned with a yellow sticker. It'll be easier to break the staple than the lock. Also, that sticker is interesting, somehow. You see a yellow circle with two X's and a big curve below them that looks like a mouth. You're pretty sure you haven't seen it before, but what the symbol depicts is clear enough. A smiling dead guy. The curve makes it smile, and the X's make it dead. There is something blindingly modern about this symbol. Its modernness puts to shame everything you've seen before. He takes off his glasses and uses a blue handkerchief to thoroughly wipe them clean before inspecting the sticker. Then he looks up, pauses, and replies.
No. Looks like a dead man smiling. Suggests junior delinquency. I haven't seen that sticker before, and I'm not a youth. That level of conceptual thinking is not part of my skill set.
There's nothing like the sound of a sticker unpeeling. Now it's stuck to your thumb. Looks like today was a gold star day. The lock turns easily. You hear a click as the shackle pops open.
Let's go.
A great whoosh of air rushes into the dark innards of the church, as though rushing to fill a great vacuum. In the heart of the city, the silence in this part of the church, it's almost palpable. All the shifting matter and shuffling of living things is gone. Nothing seems to exist beyond the church anymore. Maybe if you were to stand in just the right spot, even your footsteps would be completely silent. And then it's gone, almost all of it, but for the faintest of hums. You can hardly hear your own breathing. You produce a few muffled thumps, after which the silence feels even more total, somehow. Your voice is barely audible, not a howl, but the softest of whimpers. The lieutenant points to his ears and shakes his head. Then he leans closer.
Can you hear anything? I wonder why the church was built with such strange acoustics.
Maybe the church was designed this way to prevent boisterous activity. singing and dancing on its premises.
Could be.
He doesn't seem entirely convinced, though. The orderly rows of ceiling panels become barely visible, then disappear completely in the darkness of the tower overhead. It's like there's something moving up there. A shadow has emerged from the tower and it's making its way toward you through all the other shadows. Yes, the darkness makes the ceiling feel infinitely far away. It's not a shadow anymore, becoming more substantial as it gets closer. The shape of an animal descends.
Officer, is there something up there?
Oh no, you've lost sight of it. Where did it go? You see something hanging from the rafters, looking straight at you with dark eyes. Maybe it's possible to talk to it. A machine stands in the corner, watched over by the figures on the stained glass window. It's turned on and quivering with soft electricity.
Another radio computer. And this time it's already turned on. We should leave. I doubt this place bears any connection to the case. It's also quite similar to the one we have down at the station. Must be the same model.
The one you saw earlier was the Ream Civic. This is the Ream Prefect, a model number RC7024, equipped with a Feld mainframe and a Ream-compatible interim printer. The Ream Prefect is the governmental version of the commonly used Ream Civic model. Although mostly based on the same technology, the Ream Prefect is equipped with better noise attenuation circuits. You see fluorescent play and print buttons on the keyboard. A hatch connected to the central compartment is wide open. The lieutenant says nothing. You see the machine's glowing frame reflected back from his diamond-shaped glasses. You're free to proceed. Behind the hatch sits a cube-like crisscross of filaments, smoldering in the dark like fireflies. Silver tape on the side says, in black marker, log, February to March. Another filament memory. Press play to talk with the repeater. The speaker comes to life. Static seeps through the machine's planar magnetic driver. An old lady greets you. Her voice sounds 100 years old.
Good evening. Votre accident en Saint-Brune. This is the East Insulindian Repeater Station 1. Please repeat. Is this the personal log?
It's the same old woman you spoke with through the radio computer in the doomed commercial area.
Good, thank you. Please repeat. Is this the personal log? Good. Please repeat the password.
Let's look around. There's no use trying to guess the answer.
Received. I will register this login attempt. Votre accident. Is there anything else I can do for you today? I have 2 machines registered to this company name in Martinez. One on Saint-Brun, the other on Rue de Saint-Ghislaine.
Saint-Brun, that's the church. And Rue de Saint-Ghislaine? That's the doomed commercial area.
Anything else I can help you with? Sleep well, votre accident.
The machine's keyboard is still illuminated, revealing fluorescent play and print buttons. Nothing happens. In white, silver, and apricot faience, the young mother of humanism stands above you. A crack runs across her body. She is impossibly tall, oval-faced and sad, a dark and radiant majesty. This is her innocence, Dolores Day. Cradled in her arms are a pair of glowing lungs, clearly visible from underneath her flowing dress. You should kneel. Cold wind seeps in from the crack in the glass. Snowdrifts cover the floorboards at your feet. Above, you feel her multicolored eyes on you, inspecting you. The woman looks down at you standing there. She towers among her followers, architects, laymen, courtiers. There is a sad smile on her lips and a glint in her green-blue eye. Of what? Compassion? Remorse? She acknowledges the passing of someone who is still alive. As that soft word passes through your mind, the lieutenant draws an X-shaped cross from shoulder to shoulder. Your fingertips touch your chest 4 times as you stand in the apricot-colored light of the window. Above you, the woman still smiles, her distant smile, sundered by the crack in the glass.
The old woman in the village was right. This must be the DeLorean Church of Humanity in Martinez, or the small Pinewood Church in some records. It's a minor landmark, not easy to find. Most maps misplace it. It was built not long after Revachol's founding, 300 or so years ago, by first-generation settlers.
On the coast of an uninhabited archipelago where only animals had roamed before, in the wild reeds.
There used to be 7 stave churches on the coast. Les Sept Sœurs, they call them, the 7 sisters. Only one remains. The rest were burnt in the revolution or used for building materials. We should be respectful here, although the building appears to be deserted. I do not believe we'll find anything connected to the lynching here. Something else, perhaps?
Respectful? Is the lieutenant a follower of DeLoreanism?
Yes, we all are. Her name, body, and rule are synonymous with humanism. The laws we enforce are DeLorean in origin. It's not spiritual, it's constitutional. The DeLorean system does not demand faith, only accordance.
Despite the damage you've done to yourself, the title appears lodged in your hippocampus. This is Her Innocence, Dolores Day, the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state. Perhaps the most famous human being ever to have lived. No amount of Commodore Red can wipe her sad smile from your brain thing. It has survived the deluge and haunts you still, and will haunt you forever as it haunts all men. The highest category of historic individual, an embodiment of the world spirit. More, an innocence is elected to office by the founding party, a precedent that has taken place a mere 6 times in the entirety of history. The legal system of the Real Belt is built to accommodate innocent rule should it coincide with our time. An innocence is infallible. The decisions made by one are not decisions. They are inevitabilities. What would have happened anyway? Only accelerated, packed into decades instead of centuries. An innocence is a continuous, compressed event, a sacred human being. It is an honor and a glory to live when one is in office. No, we are alone. 300 years ago, in the wake of the discovery of this Isola, the Insulindian, by explorers from the continent of Muindi, she is, among other things, the innocence of inter-isolary travel and the connected world. Many things, you know she was a woman of the court, the wife of an influential Marchese, and eventually the principal advisor to Irene la Navigateur, Queen of Suresnes, modern-day Sir La Clé, also that she was gorgeous beyond beauty. Terribly, women of the court were expected to play both contract bridge and chess sufficiently well to prove an interesting challenge to a man. A simple grasp in matters of philosophy, theology, and science was encouraged. She was, by all means, a kept woman. She made the most of her position in the antediluvian court, a court visited by the most prominent thinkers and artists of the day. In secret, she was becoming the era's preeminent philosopher of the state, a scalpel, a piercing gaze. She was an almost preternaturally magnetic and intelligent individual. To her contemporaries, she appeared out of time, a messenger from the future of the species. We all fell in love with her, head over heels. Even before she was declared an innocence, her influence was tremendous. It was on her advice that Irene la Navigateur sponsored a number of voyages into the Pale, a costly, often tragic endeavor, ultimately vindicated by the discovery of the new world, the piece of reality you're standing on. She was crowned 2 years after the first expedition returned, setting in motion what is widely considered the greatest era in history, the DeLorean era. Wow, indeed. When her innocence was declared, and the queen she had advised for years fell on her knees before her, she was so overcome with emotion that her lungs started glowing in her chest. Bystanders reported golden filaments lighting the already sunlit chamber around her, clearly visible beneath her dress. That is why the lungs are the symbol of love for the cultures of the Real Belt. As did we all, the lands of the Mesk and the Occident, and even faraway Supra-Muindi, altogether 21 of the 40 mundial nations of the time, immediately accepted Innocentic rule, even before her crowning. In a city called Advesperaskit in Vespa Messina, her homeland, the name of the city means evening comes, but it happened on a winter's morning, with the canals frozen and slush falling out of the sky. She was dressed in a white and pearl dress on an emptied-out plaza with the crowd far away. Already, her Theriers, the secret servicemen of the Innocents, were worried about an assassination attempt. Oh yes, she looked like humanity's young mother, a perfect mother, insultingly beautiful. It was as if her face and shoulders and hands were covered in a soft down of underfeathers. You know this well, very well. Midwinter snow was beating the cobblestones around her. A small attaché of officials stood by as her Theriers placed a white gold wreath on her head. The crowning was mostly witnessed by Secret Servicemen. One of the men in this Secret Service killed her 22 years later, a young man who had come to suspect that Dolores Day was not entirely human, but something else. Something that had walked in our midst, watching us stumble for hundreds, if not thousands of years, until it decided to interfere in the course of our history. We were supposed to come up with this ourselves. The man was reported to have screamed at the innocents. Dolores Day was shot in the chest with a fowling piece 8 times. The man, thought to be insane, said he once touched her and her body had been unnaturally warm, like a furnace, and that sometimes, while on duty, he observed her forgetting to breathe for over 10 minutes. This inhuman quality was witnessed by many others as well, glowing lungs and all. It is commonly attributed to mass hysteria and religious psychology. Terrifying is a term too emotionally charged for your semantic memory, or what remains of it. But although she is often considered to be the greatest human being to ever live, there was something ominous about Dolores Day, constantly surrounded by her Theriers. She was the most socially secluded and least self-aware of all the innocences. Some modern thinkers would consider her a war criminal for the campaigns she waged against the Mesk state. And then there were the resettlement programs. The Mesk state tried to detach itself from Innocentic rule. Parts of the world were experiencing whiplash from accelerating into secularism. Her mandatory education programs and mass resettlement of upstream Marguerite were problematic as well. Dissenters were suppressed by a military force she called the Army of Humanity, suggesting those who fight against it are not part of humanity. She adored chess, yes, but also military war games. Dolores Day often holds a tiny tin soldier between her index finger and thumb in icons such as this. She was also blonde, the blondest woman you have ever seen, with green eyes the color of the Pacentic, mare interregnum. Little is known of her Marchese husband. It's as if he vanished from history after completing his role, which was to introduce Dolores Day to court. In conclusion, yes, there is something lonely, paranoid, and even terrifying that people seldom mention, but feel when they think of her. This subtle terror is part of her iconography.
Lieutenant Yefrater, you've stood there for over 5 minutes. What are you thinking of, if I may ask? She's been dead for 300 years. I am almost 1,000% certain she isn't connected to the case. None of this is, in fact. This church, the coast, this isn't a good place to get lost in.
A jigsaw of broken shards falls into place in front of you, a ghostly reconstruction of the stained glass window. Before it was shattered, there was an older woman beneath the younger one, and a text, a light motif below them both. Unknown. A motor carriage? A gunshot? Someone falling into it? Or maybe just hooligans looking for something to break? The escutcheon on her throne says, Irene the Navigator. She is depicted as an older woman wearing thick-rimmed eyeglasses, holding a golden Reichsapfel in one hand and a scepter in the other. This is the queen her Innocence Day advised. Above, she herself is whole. Small figures of wise men, common men, worshippers walk up the stairs to stand at her feet. Secret Servicemen, Theriers, stand in a row guarding her. It must have taken years to produce this work in all its dizzying detail. Below both women, in luminous black letters, Après la vie, mort. Après la mort, la vie de nouveau. And then along the left side, Après le monde, la gré. Après le gré, le monde de nouveau. After life, death. After death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This is the great leitmotif of humanism, a summary of the effect of the discovery of this isola, the Insulindian, on human thinking, a tremendous sea change akin to finding life after death.
Death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. This exaltation is common in Dolorian sacralism. In the early years, it was even incorporated as the RCM slogan. No more, however. It was deemed subservient to use a strongly moral intern-related motto. We already suspected of bootlicking. The sentence was also seen as too feminine. It was a macho thing. Justice, union, prudence, and force. Not at all.
The mother of humanism towers above you, a wax painting on a cracked pane of glass. Nothing has changed in her expression. The shadow is a man made of the same stuff as the carpentry of the building. He is studying you intently. The crab man. The man leaned forward a little, fixing you with a steady, unreadable gaze, then speaks.
Habitual alcohol use has made you into a scared little pussy, Holmes. But don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. You come to the right place.
That accent is Villalobos, a peninsula in Mesk and a district in Jamrock. There's a sizable contingent of Villalobos-speaking Mesks in Revachol.
Here you can receive the mother's love. And when you're ready, she will take your hand and lift you out of the despair at the bottom of that bottle.
This man is obviously a habitual narcotics user. Do we really need to question him?
Hey, and what was that about the bottle again? You haven't even drank that much lately. Lay off it already. Shish.
Oh yeah, sure. You don't know anything about alcohol use. You got it all under control, Way. I could smell the control all the way over here. Not all of it. I was like you once. You don't know all the havoc Albino is wreaking on your mind and your spirit. Necesita parar, homie.
You know, actually, since we're here, you may want to pay attention to what the ceiling climber is saying.
Don't trust me. Trust the mother. I'm only the messenger, Holmes. This is the Church of the Mother of Silence. You are welcome here.
You have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. Is he just trying to throw you off your game? Whatever it is, he's quite confident about it. Just look how gracefully he sways. 'Tis not an act, my liege, save him perchance he hath deceived his very self. This man is a zealot.
Never known myself to be a crab, but if that's the name you got for me, I won't stop you from using it. I always thought of myself more like a flame, flickering along the rafters and beams. It may be that I gotta work on my technique. I was in a gangway, but my memories of that time are fading. Most of them are already gone. Nah, ese, it's not like that. Best thing that could happen to you, losing your memory.
Do you remember your name, sir?
Tiago's my name, but those syllables don't mean much to me these days. A name isn't just your identity, but also, so to speak, your place amongst your fellas, your place in the world. I ain't got no use for such a place anymore. That's just the thing, Holmes. None of that matters. This is a special place. There's a perforation in the world up there, a way out into nothingness. This church was built around it for purposes of veneration. I circled it, nurtured by the silence bestowed by the mother. One of these days, I'll be pure enough to go drink from it directly. No. There's a new god in town, and she can't be painted or sculpted because she has no limb or even a face. She is the end. She is a cavity in the dark beyond sense. She saved me, but I couldn't describe her to you. No one can, Holmes, and no one ever will. I will be incinerated, but not destroyed. Finally, I won with the state of the world before reality began.
That sounds a bit like substitution behavior, no? You know a thing or two about that.
It's not like that at all, man. It's just faith and joyful service.
Too gleeful, those words. He is lying. Not to you, to his very own self.
I heard that before, Way, and I know I can't convince you on the spot. But think, when's the last time you woke up from silent communion with a hangover, regretting what you did last night?
There are drugs darker than alcohol circling your system.
She took you for a good spin, huh? Don't worry, bro. That love is but a drop compared to the ocean of the mother's love. the mother will eat all of you and never spit you out. I can see, and it saddens me, but devotion can save you. It saved me. I know it will take time. Don't sweat it. I know it will take time. Don't sweat it. I'm a seraph, Holmes. I sing the mother's glory. I ain't from no Marietti, if that's what you're thinking. And the song I sing is silent as the mother.
Marietti is a mesque style of music and dance, commonly seen at all manner of festivities, especially weddings. It's delightfully quaint, owing to its peasant origins. He lost his cool there for a moment. Seems you hit some nerve.
Hard to say. I think I did some construction work here, back when I still had material worries. Up there, I realized what the true purpose of the church was. Been spending a lot of time here ever since. The past is nothing to me now, eh? It didn't belong to me. I think they were. A long time ago. I had to shed them like skins to get closer to the center of the silence. You could have them. I don't need them anymore.
They look pretty dapper, actually. The sinewy figure lingers on the wooden beams, blending into the shadows.
Police raid a while back.
Did you witness it?
Not really, or at least I don't remember much of it anymore. The mother's love has done its job. That's what's so great about the mother. It lets you forget about everything. The ones in the tent outside, right? I see them. Guessing they're the ones who call me a crab. Probably scared of me. Nah, man. They look pretty funny. And I don't harm no one anymore. Anyway. Why not? They wouldn't bother me none. I'm usually way up there, imbibing. Ain't no music on earth that can reach where I go. Might even be nice to have some company.
He said that in spite of himself. He's more attached to the human than he'd like to think.
Other spooker? Oh, esa viejita es muy estudiosa. Don't know, Holmes.
Viejita is Grandma?
No. I just call her viejita because of her clothes. She's actually quite young. Or maybe not that young. Age is just one of the many masks we wear. That's what I said, Holmes. Don't really follow her comings and goings. Just see her typing on her computer now and then. We got different interests. I'm afraid not, Ese. You just have to wait until she comes back, or
search through her radio computer.
too many times, Ese. You need it for something.
Surveys are a good way to fish for personal information, especially in the name of public safety.
Don't sweat it, vato. The password is afterlife death. What you think of that? Makes me almost pity la niñita pequeña when I hear it. I think we're done here, Ese.
That was an interesting conversation. However, I'm still not sure how it's relevant to our investigation.
Some kind of superstar. They say the world isn't ready for a rock and roll cop. No one wants their state monopoly on violence to be mixed with celebrity worship. They claim to know it would be dangerous for detectives to rise to the ranks of demigods and have sexual encounters with barely legal cover girls. It would be insane, they say. To all this, you say, "Fuck off and die," in a cool voice. You people have no idea how good these cops are gonna get. They're gonna crack 20 cases a day. In the future, cops will be like astrophysicists or prime ministers or prophets. And you're the first one. Hey, her Innocence Dolores Day liked little figurines, right? Liked holding little men between her fingers, remember? You have the Headless Falcon Rider figurine. You should give it to her. Win her back. Don't be so pessimistic. Love doesn't die that easily. So very, very, very nifty. Nifty and mysterious. This is surely what the figurines are for. The mother of humanism stands above you, a precious and complex wax painting on a single pane of glass. A crack. Why? That does seem to be a problem. Maybe you meant something else? I don't know. What are we thinking of? Part of your mind has gone on to other things already. The mother of humanism towers above you. Oh, why? That does seem to be a problem. The mother of humanism